Many homeowners in the western United States live with the threat of wildfires. News stories of California forest fires are all too common. But even here in Ohio, woodland area residents should take precautions against such devastation. The Ohio Department of Natural Resources has developed a new program called Firewise Ohio through its Division of Forestry. Aaron Kloss is the program coordinator.
Basically what we're trying to do with this program is educate folks as to what steps they can take to increase safety in the case of a wildfire around their homes.
The program utilizes the support of local organizations to help educate the public. Dave Zalba is the public education specialist with the Mentor Fire Department.
I met Aaron approximately a year ago. He came up to us with the Firewise project from ODNR. With having the marsh in our backyard, we were very receptive to it. Any way that we can help the citizens of the Mentor to save their homes as well as property from any type of marsh fire, we're very much interested in.
You're going to want to keep a nice green yard. You're going to want to keep it cut short, close to the ground. You're going to want to eliminate a lot of leaves, sticks, and debris from your yard, because when you remove that material, the fire's no longer going to have anything to burn, and essentially it's going to stop.
Other tips for marsh area homeowners include cutting back trees hanging over your house and using flame-retardant materials for decks and roofs. You can find more suggestions online at ohiodnr.com/forestry. On April 28, 2003, approximately 400 acres of the Mentor Marsh burned, affecting the area between Corduroy Road and the Mentor Lagoons.
Okay, well, good afternoon. I'm Chief Dan Llewellyn from the Mentor Police Department, and we have called this conference this afternoon to let the people of our community know that as a result of the investigation, specifically with the marsh fire, we've arrested 2 individuals. We are very, very serious about these types of crimes in our city. They impact our community. They impact the welfare and the safety of our citizens.
Mentor Marsh started experiencing wildfires in around 1979, so it's an event that's been taking place, and it's going to continue to take place as long as the marsh remains in the condition that it's in.
Historically, this is what Mentor Marsh used to look like.
Mike Traynor is a natural areas land steward and works for the Cleveland Museum of Natural History.
It had a lot of seeps, as you see here, coming off the hillside, feeding hardwood swamp, which has not a lot of vegetation. It's got a pretty sparse shrub layer compared to how thick you saw the Phragmites was in this area. And then it's got a nice big canopy overhead, which takes out sunlight. And sunlight, in many cases, means heat, and that's one of the legs of the fire triangle. So in addition to not having as much fuel per, say, square yard as the current swamp does, a hardwood forest doesn't have anywhere near the heat, and it doesn't have anywhere near the fuel. So apart from trying to get this back to what it was, just because this is what it was before it turned into Phragmites, this is also a lot safer for the surrounding homeowners.
Back in the late 50s and early 60s, human activity actually had a big impact on the marsh, and that's when we had a salt spill. Salt got into the marsh and started killing off the natural vegetation. Right now, the marsh looks as though it's filled with just one plant, and that's a common reed called Phragmites. This plant was able to establish because it could tolerate the salt. And because the stems grow very close together, it shades out the natural vegetation.
In our efforts to try and bring back the marsh forest, what we have done is plant trees out here after the fire event. By planting native trees that can withstand these harsh conditions of salt and water, we're hoping to shade out the Phragmites and create more of a fire-tolerant area. There's going to be a recurring situation where every year we have to come back and aggressively address the situation and try and keep the Phragmites away from the newly planted trees.
Specifically here at Mentor Marsh, I work with Charlotte McCurdy and Barbara Kuzer and the Mentor Marsh Management Board to try and get the Phragmites in the marsh replaced by this, which is a hardwood swamp. And what that literally means is getting on the ground and removing what you don't want and encouraging what you do want. So it's that kind of technically and physically messy job of removing the Phragmites and replacing it with something like this.
It's a long-term project trying to bring back the marsh to what it was before. So what we're doing now might have an effect in 20, 30, 40 years. But we're going to give it our best.
Safety education is still our best weapon against wildfires. We must all work together to help protect people, property, and the environment. Contact the Mentor Fire Department for safety concerns about the marsh. The Cleveland Museum of Natural History can provide information about efforts to convert the marsh.